Dave Burgess, who helped make Tequila a worldwide success, a song that had many lives, has died. He was 90. I'm John Bowden. This is Rock History Music. It started as a B-side, a song that nobody thought would ever change music history. An improvised sax riff and a shouted word, and a rhythm guitar player quietly sitting at the corner of the room, keeping that groove locked down. A throwaway on the flip side of a single nobody expected. It was blasting out of jukeboxes from Los Angeles to New York. What the world didn't know was behind that hit, behind that groove, stood a bandleader, guitarist, and songwriter, and a studio veteran who held that entire thing together. A man whose fingerprints are all over one of the most recognizable instrumentals ever recorded, even though he didn't write it. We tell the story of Dave Burgess, who died last month. It was just released in the last few days at 90 years old. And the song was Tequila by the Champs, a band that he was a big part of. Dave Burgess was born December 3rd, 1934 in Los Angeles, a city exploding with music, movies, and opportunity. By his teenage years, he was already working the local circuit, recording singles, sitting in studio rooms, and really learning how the business worked. In 1953, at just 19, he was already recording for OK Records. Then he moved to Tops Records. Every session taught him something new: how to shape an arrangement, how to keep a band tight, and how to craft songs that stuck. By the mid-1950s, he was experimenting with names. He recorded briefly under the name Dave Dupree, writing relentlessly and building the studio instincts that would later define his career. Dave wasn't famous yet, but people inside the Los Angeles recording world already knew he was reliable, smart, and had a great musical instinct. Everything changed in 1958. Challenge Records, which was founded by Gene Autry, needed a band to record Dave Burgess's brand new single, Train to Nowhere, so they put together a bunch of studio musicians, and they christened the band the Champs. Of course, the A-side was the focus, the energy, the money, but they also needed a B-side, something fast to fill the tape. Sax player Danny Flores, credited on the song as Chuck Rio, had a riff he was toying with, a loose Latin rock figure with the shouted punctuation at the end. They cut it in just one take. Simple groove, shouted words, then session done. Nobody, not one person in that room thought it would define their lives. But the B-side was Tequila. The public's response to this song was volcanic. DJs flipped the A-side to the B-side and played the living heck out of Tequila. The song was everywhere. Number one on the Billboard charts, it sold 1 million, which back then was a lot. A Grammy Award for Best R&B Performance, the first time a song of this ilk ever did that. Dave Burgess, guitarist, bandleader, hustler, arranger, found himself at the center of an unexpected cultural explosion. His name wasn't on the songwriting credit, but his musical leadership shaped the track, the band, and the moment when the Champs became the first rock band to hit number one with their debut release. Dave Burgess wasn't the guy shouting Tequila. He wasn't the sax man blowing the hook, but without him, that record wouldn't have been made. Dave Burgess was the engine, the guy who held it all together. How to keep a session smooth, and certainly how to get the best out of the players. And even though Tequila became the band's signature song, Dave Burgess also had other things going on in his life. As a songwriter, he was prolific. His compositions like Lucky Star was recorded by Ricky Nelson and Gene Vincent. Over the years, more than 700 songs were registered under his name. As a producer, he shaped sessions behind the scenes. It's a kind of work that rarely grabs headlines, but really essential to the heart of rock and roll. Even after the first wave of rock faded, Burgess kept reinventing himself. He and his wife ran an art gallery in Montana, a major shift away from the world of the music business. But music never really left him. Later, he returned to the Nashville area, getting back into the industry that shaped his life. And in 2020, more than 60 years after Tequila first rocked the world, he brought the Champs back together with a new album, Tequila Party. It proved something profound. Dave Burgess wasn't a relic of the 50s. He was a lifer, a musician wired to create, arrange, and perform and keep moving. Of course, there was several lives for the song Tequila. It's been featured in so many movies, most notably the first Pee Wee Herman movie, which is a meme we keep seeing on the internet, of course. On October 19th, 2025, Dave Burgess passed away in Dover, Tennessee at the age of 90. Friends, family, and fans celebrated his life on November 8th. As mentioned, it's just been announced, and it wasn't really widely recorded when he died. For most people, of course, his legacy is about that one song, but as mentioned, there was so much more. There always is in anyone's life. But now we know better. We know the architect behind the song, the guitarist who kept the groove alive, the songwriter whose catalog stretched across genres, and the band leader who turned a B-side experiment into rock immortality. I guess Dave Burgess and Tequila reminds us that rock and roll, or any genre, or music in general, or anything is not just one person. There are several people who make something work, and most don't get the credit or their name in lights. A hit is built with a lot of steady hands. The rhythm players, the producers, the singers. Tequila, everyone's heard it, no matter how old you are. Rest in peace, Dave Burgess. Any comments? We'd love to hear them. We read all the comments. Remember, subscribe or follow us. We'd appreciate that. And share our videos on social media. I'm John Bowden. This is Rock History Music. Take care.